Welcome back if you've just tuned in. Today we're talking about state-owned entities and their communicators and marketers. A special association was formed in 2013 to discuss this, the role that communicators and marketers have in the 717 state-owned entities that you as the public are a shareholder in. Staggering number. And the question is the message of these SOEs getting out? And what message is getting out? And we've got a panel here that are helping us unpack that a little bit. And just before the break, we were talking to the advisory board chairman of the State-Owned Entity Procurement Forum, Mr. Mambane, about some of the challenges in terms of involving local community media in some of the messaging. Mr. Kganyago, I often wonder if there are lessons that can be learned from the private sector in the way that they do communications in the public sector, because some of the miscommunications don't seem to happen that often in the private sector. What is it that they are doing that we are not doing or we could do better as SOEs?
No, what is happening basically is firstly the issue that I talked about earlier on, but also the issue of budgets that are put around. Because you must understand that in most of these private sector companies, they put a lot of money into the marketing side of things, and therefore their communication is done within that framework. But with government entities, like I said, when we want to cut any budget, the first place to go is communication and marketing. And then we expect to still get the same results at the end of this thing. And for me, this is something that is very strange. And the other thing is the relationship that is problematic, is the relationship between our SOEs and in particular the print media. Because we have got a situation where there is confrontation around the two entities, when we should be working together with the aim of educating and giving information to the public. But you find most of the print media are being confrontational. I always make this example, that you never win with whatever story when you are dealing with some of these print media groups. When people leave the SABC, the headline is there is an exodus of talent at the SABC. When people get from the other media houses to the SABC, but we are poaching. Therefore, we are always in a negative environment because they are giving an impression that there's always something wrong with us. But the other thing is, some of the things that we do, decisions that we make, are just decisions that we know are going to attract negative attention. And we expect a communicator to clean it. And that is why it is important to ask the question all the time. And at the SABC, for example, when we do a business plan that has got to be presented to a group exco, there is a line at the end that says communication implications. Therefore, when you put it as a manager from wherever, you must then say what will be the communication implications of this, so that we are able to then deal with those issues prior to them being issues. Because that is why all the time we are on a back foot. We are always reacting to things. And sometimes there are things that we have got control over. We should go out there and push the agenda that we want to push. But the other problem, which I think now I'm starting to see it being resolved, is not to have communicators in boards of the SOEs. Because people think that every time I listen to maybe Parliament or whoever saying we need these skills, they talk about lawyers and finance people. They never talk about communicators. Therefore, we have got a board that is short of a skill, which is a communicator skill. And I've seen now with the interim board of PRASA, they've put a communicator in there. Right. And for me, it is important because we need that advice at that level.
Mr. Matlanga, I think skills is also quite a big thing, isn't it? Because sadly, we've seen some communicators, I don't know whether they're drunk tweeting or they're tweeting in the middle of the night, making statements, and this doesn't help this battle.
Yeah, I think I still need a bit of support of members of SUCA, so I'll be very cautious how I respond to that question. But I might be distancing myself from some of the potential members. But I think the issue is one, there are no consequences in government as opposed to the private sector. Remember, once you miscommunicate in private sector, the share price takes a knock. Now, in government, there's no consequence. They sort of say, no, well, it will be resolved. Another news will overtake this current news, don't worry. It will disappear like mist in the morning. And we forget that we are building a reputation that is slowly getting damaged. Now, one of the issues that I think Kaiser was raising was a question of budget. I must hasten to say that if you have not also skilled communicators who are able to understand their role within the organization, it is not enough to fight for your role to be part of the board or to be part of ESCO. You must also make yourself, you want communicators to be very creative, to think outside the box and able to ensure that their value in the organization is indispensable. And in doing so, they must be able to make sure that they must respect their profession, how they dress, how they speak publicly, how they respond to media. Because communicators, they must forget that, especially in government, they must appreciate the fact that they're not saving their own pocket, they're saving the public. And once some of them start behaving as if they are the bulls in a Chinese shop, it becomes a problem because you are not dealing with individual. The democratic state that we inherited, that started in 1994, it was to ensure that we have informed citizens. And how do we ensure that we have informed citizens when we have people who want to speak as if they are running their own spaza shop? This is an institution that should be respected. And our decline of communication has been demonstrated in current years. You must appreciate the fact that we have a national communication strategy. We want our communicators to take a cue, especially the SOE's communicators, on the national communication strategies imperatives of the GCIS so that they can be able to inform their communication strategy. We are now sitting with an institution that you find that we are communicating haphazardly. There's no consistency. And we need to make sure that we build that particular layer of communicators who are able to communicate in a more consistent fashion. And that has been a challenge.
Okay, all right. We're going to start to hear from some of those communicators right after this break. You're going to hear from Shonisani Chikalange after this. Stay with us.